Hi everyone, I hope you're well. So I'm going to re-record the audio in the intro because I rambled on too much and just never got to the point, so I'm gonna say it, okay? I'm planning to bleach my hair, and I had red hair for a long time. That's the only color that I've had my hair dyed aside from, my natural color, of course. And I just like the idea of going blonde, or at least going as light as I can. And I'm planning to, if I don't like the yellow or whatever, or blonde, or I can tone it well or what have you, I'm planning to dye it back to red, since that has been the most comfort color for me, at least. And in case you're wondering why I'm not going to a professional, that's because I have agoraphobia. I have a whole video about it, so you can check it out if you want. But the point is, I'm not sure what's gonna happen in a salon. I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel and how I'm gonna act. And I think it would probably be overall less stressful for me to have this done at home by myself than to be in a public space, going through this whole thing. I did a test strand several days ago, and it all went fine. Let's see if I can find it in the first place. Where is it? It definitely lightened. It's a bit yellowy. The ends are more orange because they didn't bleach as well, probably because this is more kind of closer to virgin hair, and this has been bleached before. Not strongly bleached. The ends, they haven't been strongly bleached, but they have been lightened. So yeah, they're a bit more damaged, and ironically they actually take longer to lighten for that reason, apparently. And yeah, let's see what we do. So I just want to show you the stuff that I have. As you can see, I have some developer 20 and 30 volume. Here some powder, both are by Ion, which is the Sally Beauty brand. I also got aluminum foil, this color beaker for the dye. I bought some Olaplex number 3, some these things for sectioning, and some brushes for hair color. I had bought this a while ago. That plastic bowl, I bought a while ago. But I also have some purple dyes to make conditioner and shampoo if I want to tone, because I didn't actually find any toner in the Sally website, probably because the Mexico website doesn't have the same products and they are lacking a lot of stuff. I have this ultra moisturizing conditioner by Tresemme, and some red dye in case I do want to dye red, and some scissors, shears if I want to cut my ends off or something, and of course my gloves there. Okay, I think the first thing I'm going to do is to section my hair. I haven't washed my hair, by the way, in probably 4 days or something, so this seems to be the ideal moment for bleaching. And I want to sort of separate it into like a top or a front half and a lower half like this, but I want to make sure that both main sections have the same, more or less the same amount of hair. So as you can see here, I am mixing the bleach and all that, and the way I'm applying it here is pretty representative of the way that I kept applying it on every bleaching session, putting it very all over the strands, all over the section, making sure it goes up but also not to the very roots, and then wrapping it up in the foils. And this was on for about an hour, I believe. So this is the result after the first session, and as you can see, this sort of virgin hair part, or at least the hair that wasn't as damaged, was much more yellow, and the ends, or at least the lower half, was very, very orange and almost red. And I had to bleach it again twice with 20 volume, because 20 volume, the thing is, I figured that just one more bleaching session with 20 volume would be enough for it to go to yellow, but apparently it wasn't enough, so I had to do it twice, and both times I did with 20 volume because I figured that it was a safer way. But now I figured that I should probably have just gone with 30 or maybe even 40 on the ends, honestly, and just save myself the trouble. But whatever the case may be, the roots, I did apply bleach on the roots, but it just didn't take, maybe it wasn't on for long enough. I had them on bleach on the roots for about 5 minutes, and it basically made no difference. But it's not really that big of a deal because I was going to go all over all of the roots anyway later on. Check out how much foils, how many foils I've been using. It's just so much and I'm not even done yet. Hopefully this will be the second to last time I have to do this. It certainly won't be the last because I'm probably gonna have to fix some of the uneven parts even after this one, and I'm not sure how the roots will come out if I bleach them right now. So yeah, I'm not incredibly hopeful, but I'm sure that, you know, with time this will probably end. Okay, so this is what's going on. Please don't freak out. I kind of am freaking out a little bit. And of course in the front, since I've only bleached it once, especially this part here, this part is lighter, this one is darker, so I think I'm going to bleach this again with 30 volume, and then I think I'll go with 20 around here. Okay, so there were some parts I just bleached my the parts that were still orange, and some of the parts, and also my roots that were still brown, like my natural usual virgin hair. And as I was rinsing the bleach off, some of the parts, especially here on the front, where I kind of laid on the bleach more heavily, they kept kind of feeling really straw-like, and like really, like they kept tangling together and sticking together. The hair was sticking together, and I'm like, okay, I guess maybe there's bleach still stuck on it. So I kept like rinsing and rinsing and rinsing, and it still felt the same way, and it still kept sticking together. It got better when I put on conditioner, the very moisturizing conditioner that by Tresemme that I showed at the beginning of the video. It got better then, but as soon as we removed the conditioner again, it kept going the same way, so it was the same thing, right? So I'm not sure what's gonna happen. I think I'll be super heavy with the Olaplex and with leave-in conditioners and all of that, especially on that area. But that's kind of the point where I kind of did freak out the most in this whole process. That's been probably the moment in this entire process of weeks where I have been genuinely a little bit freaked out because I wasn't sure what was gonna happen. But hopefully nothing. Hopefully I'll be fine, because it wasn't really that lifted. It's not like it was white or anything, so I don't really see why that happened. Hi everyone, so let me show you what's going on at the moment with my hair. So I rebleached the orange parts and some still brown parts, and I bleached the roots with 20 volume for 5 to 10 minutes. These parts here were like 10 minutes, and some parts on the back were only like 5. And surprisingly, it almost didn't lift at all, as you can see. I'm gonna show you the rest of the hair right now, but yeah, the roots pretty much didn't lift at all, even though I was sure that within 5 minutes they would be yellow, but apparently not. So this is the ends. As you can see, the mids and the ends are still, especially the parts that are here on the front, like I've been saying, they're still pretty orange. This orange here on the sort of lower end of the hair has been really stubborn, and I'm honestly considering just dyeing my hair red, because I'm so tired of bleaching my hair and of it looking just bad after I wash it and after it dries. Like, I'm just tired of having to like style my hair in different ways whenever I have to go out in public. It feels bad. And I still have brown parts. Not sure how well you can see, but some parts are still pretty brown, especially here in the front. They're very obvious. These parts were supposed to be lifted by the bleaching, by the 20 volume on the roots, but again, even though it was there for like 10 minutes, it didn't lift. And I don't understand why, because it's supposed to lift fast on the roots, near the roots. And see, it's barely lifted there, almost nothing at all. And I went in very heavily with the bleach, going over places and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm starting to get a little tired of it, but I know that I have to push on because I'm so close, you know, I'm so close to being blonde. I feel like now if I were to dye red, it would be all pointless to know, the whole process. If I had wanted to have it red, I could have just bleached a little bit for just one session, for with maybe 30 volume or 20 or something, and just put red over it, semi-permanent red over it. This is so much damage that I've gone through, and so much time and all that, and it would have been all for nothing. So I do want to go blonde. I think the only way I would go back to red is if I decided the blonde, if I tone it and it's all, like the ideal blonde at the end, and I still don't like it, then I want to go back to red. But otherwise I don't want to do it, because it would have been such a waste of time and product and energy and all of that. So yeah, what bothers me the most is probably this, like, yeah, this is pretty yellow, and then this is brown. There are still some brown streaks, even though I feel like I'm pretty thorough, with the yellow. Or maybe it's also partly the light that kind of makes some parts look brown, but no, I feel like there are parts that are decidedly brown and some that are obviously yellow. I guess I'm gonna do at least one more session. Hopefully this will be the actual last session. So again, I'm going to do 20 volume on the roots again for 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm also going to, well, before that, I'm going to bleach the orange parts again, the orange parts here again, and then the back parts around here that aren't quite the very root, but they're still closer to the scalp and that haven't lifted to yellow. So I'm planning to do those with 30 volume, and here 20 volume again, the roots all over. And that should be it. So here's some stuff that I bought after this, or rather before the next bleaching session. Some gloves, leave-in conditioner by Garnier, these two more detailed brushes, and more 20 volume little bottles, and quite a lot more 30 volume bottles, and I actually ended up using all of these, believe it or not, and a toner that I figured would be good enough, but I opened it and it turned out to be blue, so I didn't end up using it. And also more foils, I think I already showed them, and a lot of these little clips for sectioning as well, and purple shampoo, even though I was planning to make my own by mixing purple dye into my own, but I decided that, I might as well buy some. And here you can see me bleaching once again. This is the 6th time I bleach my hair, or rather not my full hair, but doing a bleaching session. And every time it pretty much takes me the same. It's, since I have to divide the sections and all that, it ends up taking me like 2 hours or maybe more, considering the rinsing and all that. And I am wearing an Iron Maiden shirt, but that's because this one is actually kind of a misprint, and it's kind of like badly printed, and the print kind of peels away, the color. So that's why I have it as a dye or bleach t-shirt. And so yeah, I'm dividing, as you can see, I'm just like sectioning all of the hair and all that. And I actually regret doing this, because when I use the clips and section all the hair, when I try to take it out before bleaching each section, it actually ends up often tangling in my hair, and I have to like really pull at it and all that. Or obviously I try to be careful, but I do end up pulling it a little bit. And as you can see, I'm mixing the bleach again, and every time I section, I'm trying to not overlap, of course, on the parts that are already very light yellow especially, but I am trying to kind of like really look for those pieces that are still brown or still orange. So that's why I have to look at every section individually, because each section really has random areas here and there that are still brown or still darker than the rest. So yeah, and I am still using foils. I have used quite a lot of foil in this whole process. Hey, it's me again, and guess what? I still haven't fixed the whole thing. Like I said, I probably have bleached my hair about, not the whole head of hair, but I've done the whole bleaching process probably 8 times at this point in total, and it's still not really at its best, or at the point, and there's noise in the background, of course, great. I'm still not at the point where I was supposed to get to. Like I said, this part is still orange, and after bleaching it the last time, it's still orange. So yeah, I think I'll use 30 volume again, and I also bleached the ends, the ends again, the roots, sorry, and they're still darker than the rest. Even though I kind of had it on for a pretty long time, for roots, like 10 minutes or so, which is a little too long apparently, but you know, it still didn't leave that much the roots. And that last session was to also even out some of the brown parts here at the bottom, and a lot of them are still brown. And I was pretty careful, like I took every section, small sections, and like really, you know, made sure that I was getting to the very root, not to the very root, but very close without actually getting to the roots. And there's still parts that are brown, not here on this section, but here you can probably see. And if I show you some of the backside, especially on the underside, you can probably see a lot of still virgin hair going on there. Other than that, you know, it's not too bad, but I'm still a little bit disappointed and a little bit almost mad at myself, that not at myself, but you know, just overall a little bit frustrated at the fact that this is taking such a long time and so many sessions, and the fact that this orange is so stubborn. I mean, I just wanted to get it done, you know, and I thought the last session would be the last one, and it's not, you know. There's still more to lift here. Here you can see it's definitely more orange in comparison to the top. What probably stresses me out the most is when I go to rinse the hair, and again, these sections here just feel terrible. It is so strange because again, these sections at the front, these shouldn't be the most damaged ones. If anything, it should be like the ends here or something. Why is it these parts? Hi everyone, so guess what? Still some brown parts, as you can see. There's definitely some still brown parts in the back roots, especially on this side, especially because I applied the most of the 20 volume on the roots again, mostly here on the front and on this side, and I also missed this bit, as you can see, this part here. I missed a few spots around here, and you can see this sort of brown part here and around here as well. And the front ends again still orange. I'm going to show you in comparison to the front here. They're kind of still orange, see? I don't know, I feel like the light kind of maybe tricks you into thinking that they're yellow, but when you look at them here like this, it's kind of obvious that they are more orangey. I don't know, kind of hard to see what the color is truly like on camera. But another way that I can tell that it's still orange is because when I tone it, quote unquote tone it, with the purple shampoo, it takes more on the more light parts here at the in the ends of the back than on the ends of the front, because these have been bleached fewer times, and I think for less time yet still now. And I still have to fix again the roots that I missed, the parts of the roots that I missed or that didn't bleach for enough time, because by the time that I had finished applying it around here, these parts that I had applied the bleach on first on the roots, it had already been on for like 10 minutes and it looked already pretty light, so I had to rinse it off. So yeah, that's why I'm doing another process. And I know I've been saying this for like the last 7 processes, but hopefully this one will actually be the very last one, and then I will just kind of tone with purple shampoo, and if it doesn't work, I will then use a proper toner or like a permanent color or something like that, because I would rather avoid that, because those permanent colors have ammonia, and of course it's very damaging to the hair and all that. And I already put my hair through a lot, so I don't really want to damage it more and probably have to cut more of it, or rather cut any of it at all. Here's what I find strange. For some reason, every time you see those videos like Brad Mondo or whatever, he often tells, or used to say, whenever someone would wear or use a box dye, he would be like, oh, but it's so much ammonia. And I have looked up like pretty much any toner that I have ever heard of. The the Ion collection or Ion color ones, those are proper toners and they have ammonia. Permanent Professional colors have ammonia. Box dyes obviously have ammonia. I think the Wella Color Charm ones also have ammonia, but I'm gonna insert the thing here to see if they do have ammonia or not. But I'm pretty much guessing that all permanent colors, including toners that are presented as permanent colors, probably all have ammonia, and I want to avoid that. Obviously, it's fine if it washes off a little bit faster, if the purple washes off a little bit faster. I don't really mind the blonde being a little bit on the yellow side, even though I know that I'm more cool toned. I don't really mind if the blonde is a little bit yellowy. I just don't want it to be this yellowy, and of course I also want it to be even. Yeah, wish me luck. So the 8th session was basically the same thing as the last one, going over the still slightly orange parts at the front, and also mostly going to the still brown parts that were not quite the root, but still towards the top of the head, kind of closer to the scalp. And of course this took a really long time, much more than I expected really, because again I was still sectioning, and I had to look at each section very carefully to see which parts were brown and which parts were still yellow already, so that I wouldn't damage it if I were to overlap. I did slightly overlap on the parts that I figured were still kind of a darker yellow, and because the point is to even everything out. And I would run out of time very fast because of how long it took me to look at each section very well and all of that. So by the time that I had to start working on the roots, I had like not a lot of time left for the orange parts to develop. In foils it took a very long time, which is partly why, really one of the main reasons why this process was so long and it took so many sessions, because obviously given that my hair was very long. Hi everyone, so today should be the last time, this time for real, the last time that I bleach my hair. Mostly some parts that on my roots, especially the back, some parts that I missed, and also some parts here. You can probably see some parts here that are completely brown sections here and there that I have found. And the problem with those sections that are brown is that it's not like certain strands are brown, like if you can take a little bit of these and like just bleach the whole of it, but rather it's more like you take a strand and a part of it will be brown, like a section like this. So it's very difficult to go through it because you have to keep looking at each section individually, and that takes such a long time. And I have noticed that doing the work of going over all the sections and seeing what parts are brown actually takes much longer than it took initially to bleach my hair, the lower part and then the upper part. I also haven't noticed much shedding or hair falling out from the roots or anything. I mean, obviously my hair falls out either way, like it did obviously before I started to bleach my hair. It fell out because the way that hair sheds naturally, but it's been pretty much the same rate that it usually is. And I also have noticed a little bit of breakage, more than normal, of course, as I expected. A bit more split ends and all that stuff. But other than that, honestly, nothing too extreme. Another thing that I have noticed is that when I go to rinse the bleach, all of the hair just feels extremely dry and damaged at first when I go first to rinse it off. And then after I use the mask, the Garnier Hair Food Cocoa Mask, that one really helps to have it feel much better, pretty much just instantly. It also smells really good, so I like that mask a lot. Also, you can probably tell that I toned my hair, but it pretty much only took on the ends, probably because of the porosity differences and all that. I'm gonna try this time after I bleach, I'm gonna try to mostly focus purple shampoo just here, or maybe use the actual hair food mask, maybe combined with a little bit of purple, then my semi-permanent hair dye, put it on, and then wash it off with the purple shampoo. I'm not sure, but I think I might do that, because what I used to tone this is basically just what I used to tone these parts is really just it was just a mixture of conditioner and purple dye, and it took very well. Obviously the problem is that it took a little too well because it's obviously much more cool tone than the roots are, than the sort of top half is. So it's the 9th bleaching session. All I can say is that this is just getting old. I just want this to be over. Like I mean, the first few times were almost enjoyable, you know, you're doing this while listening to something else, you know, doing your thing or whatever. But after all of this, it's just getting ridiculous. So I'm debating whether or not to bleach again. As you can see, some parts are a little bit more orange than others. Still, after bleaching these ends like 3 times with 30 volume, I still think that they're darker and a little bit more orange than this. You can kind of tell what I mean, I think. Looking at this, you can see, can you see how this one is more orange, this one is light yellow. I think this side is actually more dramatic. See? This is from the back and this is from the front. I'm not sure why. I feel like the bleaching on the ends on the back actually took less you know, fewer sessions to make more yellowy and less orange than, and the ones on the front are taking. I don't know why they just don't want to go past the orange stage. And also I feel some kind of weirdly about the front because I feel like it's all bleached but it doesn't look bleached, you know, like I'm not sure if it's maybe the lack of toning or the fact that the roots here at the back are not perfectly bleached either, because I feel like when I look at it individually I'm like, okay, it's all bleached there, but the only thing that I would bleach again to fix would be some parts here that are still brown, some little sections here and there. I'm not sure how well you may be able to see them here, but there are some sections here and there that are still brown. And again, for the orange parts here, which I'm just so tired of seeing, I will give you a 360 view of what's going on and some of the view on the roots again, so that you can see what's going on, but it's really not great at the moment. So I'm debating on whether or not to bleach again. I bought more supplies to bleach again. I bought more 30 volume, more 20 volume for the roots, more gloves and more foil. So I still have a lot of bleaching powder left. Maybe I would be more convinced if I were looking at the viewfinder and if I saw like full face of makeup and like my hair styled in a different way or something, but I feel like that would trick me though, because I want at my hair to look the way it's gonna look most of the time, and most of the time I'm just looking like this, you know. So hi everyone, so this is the most recent results of the bleaching and all that. I don't think I filmed the actual process, but I basically went over the parts that I found that were still brown and the parts here in the front that were still orange, and of course I left on some of that purple conditioner on the roots, or at least the top part here, and I just used regular conditioner on the bottom to sort of detone what had been overtoned, and they did turn out quite a lot more yellow, and like they were the way that they were pre-bleach, or rather pre-toned. I gotta be honest with you, I think I might just leave it at this, at least in terms of the bleaching. I still think I need to tone a little bit better because you can tell the ends are definitely more yellowy than the roots, but I don't mind it too much, honestly. I think it looks pretty okay. I'll show you a 360 again of the roots and the whole situation here and how the whole thing is looking, but honestly I think this is pretty good. I don't know, I mean, yesterday I was feeling a little bit down about it because I'm like, you know what, I'm not sure that the blonde even suits me. Not even like the fact, because this part especially, and this is like much more toned and much more purpley, and I look at it and I'm like, I'm not sure that suits me, even though it's cool toned. Like I think that just the blonde it's not really doing it for me. But today, with my wearing my costume for Halloween and all that, I looked at it and I was like, you know what, I think I look good. I think I look pretty good. I don't know, I certainly don't regret doing it, honestly. I think it looks pretty good. Of course, the state of my hair in this isn't the same. I haven't found that I feel like I have to cut more of the length, like I have to cut my ends or anything. Of course, as I find split ends, I will cut them, but I've also always done that. I do have to admit that the hair just doesn't feel as soft as it used to, but I haven't done the Olaplex yet. So hopefully that will kind of, you know, change the texture a little bit, or rather the feel of the hair to the touch. And I've also heard that as you rinse your hair and shampoo your hair more, it will also feel a little bit more soft. Because the bleach that could have been left is like coming out, or rather like the remnants of the bleach that could have been there are coming out. But I feel like I rinsed very thoroughly every time I bleached, like I went over it and over it. The whole point of this entire project was to bleach to like a light blonde like this, while also keeping as much of the length and as much of the, you know, condition of the hair as I could. And I think I did accomplish that. Even though it's not exactly, I don't think it's quite as light as I was kind of envisioning in my head, but honestly, I'm really into it. And I just can't imagine bleaching any more than this. Okay, so I did actually bleach my hair again.
So that was a fucking lie.
Okay, the problem was not with the bleaching, but rather that the ends turned out much more cool toned than the top. This almost didn't take on the purple at all, and because I used the purple conditioner again. But it's like a constant fight, you know, that I want this to be the same tone as this, but they always take differently. And when I overcorrect these, then this ends up more yellow, you know, difficult. But yeah, this is definitely more cool toned than, you can see that, right? This is much more purpley than this one. And yeah, this is kind of, so that's the problem that I'm dealing with now. However, what I'm planning to do right now, my hair is very greasy, by the way, that's why I'm doing this. Today I'm gonna finally use the Olaplex number 3, and I'm going to dampen my hair a little bit because it says to use on damp towel dried hair, and then I'm going to leave it on for an hour. It says to leave on for at least 10 minutes, but you can leave it on for longer, it says, and some people do to leave it on for like an hour, so I'm gonna do that. And after that, you're supposed to shampoo and condition. So after that, I'm going to use purple shampoo, and I'm gonna leave it on for a little while here, and then going to just use regular untinted, unpigmented conditioner on the ends, unless I notice some parts that are still very yellow. So that's the plan, and hopefully that takes care of both the condition of the hair and the color being uneven and all that. Okay, so I just came out of the shower. I just washed my hair, and So I had the Olaplex number 3. Again, I had it on for an hour and a half in total. So I did everything as told, as instructed. And then, as it says to do, I shampooed my hair with the purple shampoo. I left it on for the purple shampoo. I left it on for probably 6 minutes, a little bit over 5 minutes. And then after that, I used the Garnier conditioner that I have mentioned before, the Hair Food Cocoa. I use that one mostly on the ends because I don't like to use products that are too moisturizing if they touch my scalp, because that makes me want to wash my hair more often because it gets greasier faster and all that. So I didn't use basically any conditioner here at the crown, but what I'm a little bit worried about. I did. It seems to have toned a bit at the top, but we'll see what happens when it's fully dry. And the ends do feel better because they had more of that moisturizer, more of that conditioner on. Here it feels really dry and not good at all. Very straw-like, as it does before. Every time I wash my hair, ever since I started bleaching the crown here, it gets really dry and feels very straw-like after I wash it with shampoo. Of course, shampoo. After I wash it and before I use the conditioner, or if I don't use it at all, here on the crown it feels really dry. But when it's dry, like when it's not damp anymore, it doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels quite nice, or at least as it did before. So it kind of does worry me a little bit the way it feels here, but what can I do about that aside from not bleaching my hair anymore? Not much. And yeah, there's not much to say for the moment because I haven't fully seen the results of this whole thing when it's been fully dried and all. So here are the results of it when it's dry, and I will keep using it, but on this first try it doesn't look that different from before or feel different. And here is a sort of makeshift purple conditioner that I was making with hair dye and the conditioner. Okay, so the toning I did with that conditioner was pretty okay, but my hair is still yellow, really, some parts more than others. But in fact, some of the almost white parts around here took to almost pink with that purple conditioner that I did, and I don't like the idea that much, honestly. I did another, let me show you. I did another purple conditioner for later, which is much brighter. But I decided, I was close to a physical Sally store, and I actually found the My Permanent toner. This is My Identity by Guy Tang. He's a YouTuber here and, a hairstylist. And this is the shade Titanium from the My Permanent My Identity line. And this is supposed to not have ammonia, although I checked the ingredient list and it doesn't have ammonium hydroxide, whatever that's called, listed, but it does say here on the contents part that it has ammonia. I don't know, I'm very confused because I'm pretty sure that semi-permanent and demi-permanent dyes shouldn't have ammonia. It's only permanent ones that have, and the specific reason why I picked this semi-permanent one, is because I didn't want it to have ammonia. So I don't know, if someone can clear this up for me, that would be appreciated. And I realized that if I am using something with ammonia on my hair, then it's kind of pointless that I didn't go for a proper toner. But again, I don't have access to like Wellachlor Charm, and the other ones were like ion, ones that just didn't convince me as much. And I don't know, I'm kind of tired, honestly, of the yellow. I feel like it almost like blends into my skin tone. I washed my hair yesterday, and this is supposed to be on like freshly washed hair, and I still consider this hair to be like freshly washed. It doesn't feel oily at all. So I think I'm doing it the way it's supposed to be done, Okay, I'm a little scared, okay, because it looks yellow, and it scares me a little bit, like, why is it yellow? But I don't know, is that normal? I know that some hair dyes, it's normal for them to be yellow. Listen, you know what? I think this might actually have ammonia because it smells bad. It doesn't smell good. It smells like dye in the worst way. And it scares me that it's yellow. Like, oh my god, why is it yellow? It has a consistency of like curdled milk or something. I don't know. Do you guys think my hair looks any more cool toned? Any less yellowy than it did before? Because I think it kind of looks the same. Granted, I do realize that that product by Guy Tang, the toner, is supposed to be used with his own brand's developer, but okay, two things. First, why would you do that? I just don't think it's a very consumer friendly, business decision. Secondly, it should really be just peroxide in a developer, according to what I know. So, like, why would you need a specific product? And thirdly, it's always sold out everywhere that I looked, and it's definitely not available anywhere in Mexico, even though the toner is available in Sally, Mexico. So, I just don't see, it's just, I excuse myself for not using his developer. So let's just leave it there. But yeah, the point is that it didn't do anything. I guess it could also be the fact that I kind of let it sit for like 10 minutes until it started to develop a sort of like lavender color, because the yellow color of the mix was throwing me off. And I understand that it's an oxidative dye, so it looks different of the bottle, of the, tube than it looks when it's on and all that. But it kind of did freak me out because I'm like, did they like mislabel a product? Like maybe it's a golden toner, like a more goldeny toner, and they mislabeled it as titanium or something, which I still think it might be a possibility, honestly, because like my hair looks just as yellowy, I think, as it did before. And I had it on for more than 5 minutes. It was on here for probably 10 minutes, and here for probably a whole 5 minutes on my ends, if not a bit more than 5 minutes. And so yeah, and I did use shampoo and condition as directed after the whole thing, which I don't know, might have taken some of the color off, but I don't see why that would be the case. Another thing about the ammonia, I still haven't figured out whether or not it has ammonia. I used it anyway, so like it's already done. But I'm confused because again, it does say it has ammonia in the same packaging, but the same packaging doesn't list the ammonia as an ingredient or ammonium hydroxide or anything. So I just don't know what to believe. I just don't know. I don't think it smelled too ammonia-y. Like the first time that I smelled it, it smelled very strongly of something kind of like a cleaning product, so that made me think that it had ammonia. But now that I look back, I'm like, you know what, hair dye, like box dye and permanent stuff like that, usually has a more like fishy smell or something. It has a worse smell. And looking back at that one, the mix that I used smelled more like a strong lavender scent, which it is supposed to have. So I'm like, you know what, maybe it's not ammonia, and it's just the scent that they add, like the fragrance that they add on the product. So today what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use the purple conditioner. I might add, I'm not sure yet, but I might add a bit more purple dye here, so that I know that it's you know, purple enough. So yeah, I'm planning to use it. Just rinse, put it on damp hair, so dampen my hair in the shower, rinse it off, and then put on shampoo and condition, just like yesterday. I don't want to end this video on a bad note, but I'm just tired, okay, of just the fact that every single step of the process something goes wrong, you know. It's been, this process has been going on forever, and it just never ends. You know, if I overtone here, I undertone here. If I undertone here, I overtone here. And now I have purple hair on the top and ashy blonde on the bottom. There's always one huge obstacle on every step of the way. So I put some shampoo on the parts that were the most purple. I left it on for a little while, and then I went onto the shower to rinse everything. And then I put some purple conditioner on the parts that weren't as purple last time, and then I rinse everything with shampoo, with just regular shampoo, not purple one. And then I put some conditioner, regular conditioner again, and it looks like everything is pretty even. I mean, nothing seems too extremely purple here where it used to be, and this also looks pretty cool tone but not too purpley. So I'm very excited as to what it's gonna look like when it's dry. I mean, this might actually be the last frontier, like the last step of them all. I mean, I just can't believe it. So this is the finished product. As you can see, I'm just officially blonde, which is why I decided to wear this shirt that says Barbie. So as you can see, I still have a little bit of purple. It kind of appears pink here going on, especially on this side. And I think, you know, I think it's gonna fully wash off with the next wash, this pink here, and then I'm gonna make sure that this stays more cool toned, and that this doesn't wash off too much to be yellow. But honestly, in terms of the process and everything, I think I'm just happy the way it's right now. There's not that much of a difference between the roots and the ends anymore. Glad that I was able to document it, because if I told you, I feel like if I told a person that I had done 10 bleaching sessions to get to here and a bunch of like problems with the toning and all that, they probably wouldn't believe me. So you have to see it to believe it, you know. So I hope that my process helped maybe yours if you're planning to do this, or that you were able to, you know, see what it would be like to bleach your hair. So yeah, I hope you found this video useful, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.